The first knock came at 5:58 a.m., sharp, official, the kind that says this isn't a request. I bolted upright in the dark bedroom, pulse already racing before my mind caught up. The house stayed quiet the way it always did at dawn. Grandfather clock ticking in the hall, faint refrigerator hum, no voices. I pulled on yesterday's hoodie, stepped barefoot across cold hardwood, and moved toward the front door the way you move when you've learned that rushing only makes you look guilty. Through the peephole, a county deputy in khaki and black tactical vest, clipboard under one arm, cruiser parked at the curb with lights dark. Across the street, barely visible under the neighbor's maple, my parents stood like sentinels. Mom's coat buttoned to the throat. Dad's hands jammed in pockets. They weren't startled by the deputy's presence. They were expectant. I left the chain on and cracked the door 2 inches. The deputy said, voice flat with routine. Are you Lena Carver? Yes. He glanced at the papers. Deputy Kessler, County Sheriff Civil Division. I'm here to execute a writ of possession. Eviction order. The word landed like ice water down my spine. This is my house, I said. No volume. No tremor. Just fact. Deputy Kessler didn't flinch. He'd heard the line before breakfast more times than he could count. I'm not here to litigate title. I'm here to enforce the court's order. I angled my phone through the gap and photographed the top sheet. Case number, court seal, judge's signature, bold header reading writ of possession. Same-day enforcement. Who are the plaintiffs? I already knew. He checked. Robert Carver and Carolyn Carver. My parents. Not even the courtesy of using a straw buyer. Mom's voice drifted across the street, soft and rehearsed. We gave you every chance, Lena. Dad added, colder, you brought this on yourself. Deputy Kessler's eyes flicked toward them, then back to me. He dropped his voice. Do you have somewhere to go this morning? I held his gaze through the narrow opening. I'm not going anywhere until I understand how this happened. He exhaled, short, professional sympathy, and tilted the packet so I could capture the service return. Substitute service accepted by adult female occupant at 417 Oak Ridge Lane. My parents' old rental property. The place they moved out of when I was 16. The place I hadn't visited in 21 years. That's not my address, I said. It's what the affidavit states, he answered, regret edging his tone. Signed by the plaintiff. I didn't need to ask which plaintiff. Mom's tidy cursive was unmistakable even in the grainy photo. Deputy Kessler glanced across the street again. If you believe service was defective or the judgment was obtained by fraud, file an emergency motion to stay enforcement and vacate the default. Courthouse opens at 8. I nodded once. I understand. He passed a card through the gap. Civil unit direct line. Text me a photo of any signed stay order and I'll stand down. I took it. Thank you. He stepped back. I'll return at noon unless the court instructs otherwise. I closed the door. Locked it. Then I moved. First, clear photos of every visible page, case number, service return, the fabricated lease agreement they'd attached as an exhibit. Second, fireproof box under the hall bench. Deed copy. Grandfather's probated will. 17 years of tax receipts in my name. Homeowner's policy listing me as sole insured. Third, call to the courthouse clerk while standing in my own kitchen. Civil Division, a woman answered. I have a writ of possession scheduled for enforcement today, I said. I was never served. The service address is incorrect. I need to file an emergency stay and motion to vacate default. She didn't waste breath. Case number. I read it. Keyboard clatter. A pause that felt eternal. Then her voice shifted, lower, more alert. The return shows substitute service accepted by the plaintiff at an address that does not match your current residence. Yes. Another pause. Bring ID, proof of current address, proof of ownership, and anything showing you are not served. Get here when we open. Ask for Judge Navarro's department, she's on emergencies today. I thanked her and ended the call. Through the front window I could see my parents still stationed across the street. Mom on her phone now, pacing. Dad staring at the house like it was already his. I didn't give them the performance they expected. I slipped out the side gate, walked 3 blocks to the bus stop, and rode downtown. No car visible meant no easy stakeout. No confrontation on my porch meant no cell phone video they could edit into unstable daughter. At the courthouse I was first through security. The clerk who answered my call recognized me instantly. You're here, she said, already pulling the file. I slid everything across: ID, recent utility bill, deed, probate order, tax receipts, photos of the writ. She scanned the service return and her face tightened. Plaintiff signed as the accepting adult female occupant. Yes. She looked at the lease exhibit. Signature doesn't match your ID. No. She stamped my motion packet. Judge Navarro will hear you in 20 minutes. Department 9. Bring everything. I waited on a bench outside the courtroom. My parents arrived 15 minutes later with their attorney, a silver-haired man whose suit cost more than my monthly mortgage. Mom wore her usual soft cardigan, expression arranged into wounded concern. Dad stared straight ahead, jaw locked. They didn't speak to me. Their lawyer did the talking, smooth, procedural, certain. When the bailiff called the case, I walked to the defendant's table alone. Judge Navarro opened the file and scanned the first page. Emergency motion to stay enforcement and vacate default, she read. Defendant alleges defective service and fraudulent conveyance. Plaintiffs claim ownership via quitclaim deed. She looked at me first. Ms. Carver, you state you were never served. Yes, Your Honor. The service address is my parents' former rental. I have not lived there in 21 years. The plaintiff, my mother, signed as the accepting adult female occupant. Judge Navarro turned to the plaintiff's attorney. Counsel, is that correct? The attorney rose. Substitute service is authorized, Your Honor. The address was the defendant's last known address. Judge Navarro lifted the proof of service page. Signed by the plaintiff herself. A beat. Yes. The judge's eyes narrowed. And the lease agreement attached as an exhibit. Establishes tenancy, the attorney answered smoothly. Judge Navarro looked at me. Ms. Carver, do you deny signing that lease? I do. The signature is not mine. She turned to my mother. Mrs. Carver, did you accept service at an address you knew was not your daughter's current residence? My mother's lips trembled into practiced sorrow. Your Honor, we've tried everything. She's been difficult. We didn't know. That's not responsive, Judge Navarro cut in. Yes or no? My mother swallowed. Yes. Judge Navarro looked back at the file. Then at the quitclaim deed exhibit. This deed purports to transfer the property from Ms. Carver to you and your husband, recorded 2 weeks ago. Ms. Carver, did you execute that deed? No. The judge lifted the notary acknowledgement page. Notarized by Carla Mendez. Ms. Mendez is present. Carla Mendez stood from the gallery, hands clasped tight, face pale. Judge Navarro's voice stayed even. Ms. Mendez, you notarized this deed on the 13th. Yes, Your Honor. At what time? Around noon.